The webinar you're about to watch provides ways to maximize profits in the automotive industry by efficiently purging your molding machine. This webinar originally aired on March 9th. Your presenter is Graziano Pestorino of Molds Plus International, the makers of UltraPurge. We'll now join Graziano.
Hello, and thank you everybody for participating to today's webinar, where we are going to discuss how to maximize the profit by being more efficient during the basically color change or the purging or the machine. Basically, starting this webinar, the first question that we have to ask ourselves is what are basically our needs, right? Basically, what do we need to do to become more efficient during the purging of the machine? Basically, definitely one of the most important problems that comes during the production of especially clear parts like lenses, it could be the elimination of carbon deposits. Carbon is definitely a big source of contamination during definitely startup. It can delay a lot the startup of the machine at the beginning of the production and generating a big amount of scrap. Also, achieve fast color changes, especially for companies in the automotive industry that are making interior parts for the cars, such as dashboards, side panels, middle console. And definitely, with today's industry moving towards the just-in-time production, we want to make sure that we are able to achieve very fast color changes so we can basically reduce our inventory and not create basically huge costs during these color changes. Also, I know that most of the companies in the automotive industry are already using commercial purging compound, or they use commercial purging compound in the past. So definitely it is very important to limit the amount of purging compound used during these purges, because let's not forget that commercial purging compound is definitely normally more expensive than the resin used. So we have to make sure that we are not wasting purging compound. Eliminate waste is also a very important point. Waste of material, scrap. So yes, we use the purging compound, but we also know that we have to use resin to remove the purging compound. So make sure that we are not using too much resin, and make sure that the resin or whatever we use to purge the machine will not be wasted, meaning that we have to sell it to scrap dealer or maybe even landfill. So this is a very important point. And first of all, I mean, even if it's the last point, but it's definitely very important, make an easy and very fast process. So we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, it is easy and fast. So we don't want to complicate our life. Now, let's discuss, we would like to actually, at this point, introduce a poll to see how many of you are actually using a commercial purging compound when purging the machine.
And Graziano, we're seeing the results come in now, and it looks like it's, right now it's about 3 or 4 to 1. 4 to 1 of the yes. So we're getting a lot of people who do use a commercial purging compound right now, and we've got about.
Yes, it is actually very, definitely very encouraging, because the usage, as we will explain later, of a commercial purging compound during color changes can drastically reduce the amount of scrap and downtime generated. And definitely, especially in the automotive industry, it is extremely important to use commercial purging compound in order to achieve fast color change. Now, let's analyze the problems one by one during the color changes of when purging the machine. Definitely, as we said, eliminate carbon is very important, especially for companies that are making lenses for car headlights or tail lights. Normally, they use thermosensitive material. Definitely, making sure that we follow a proper shutdown procedure is extremely important. Now, the UltraPurge can definitely be used for this application. The UltraPurge contains an antioxidant ingredient that will actually prevent the oxidation of the polymer. We all know that polycarbonate or acrylic resin using to make these parts are very thermosensitive resin that they oxidize during the shutdown or startup. So it is important to prevent this oxidation in order to prevent the formation of carbon. Very important also is to work with the equipment that are in good condition. So good injection unit, good hot runners. So making sure that the screw and barrel that we have in the machine are in great condition. And also make sure that the hot runners that we have are actually properly designed with the minimal residence time possible in order not to degrade the resin. Run the right temperature profile in the barrel and in the manifold, extremely important as well. Again, we don't want to overheat or burn the resin that we have in the barrel. Extremely important in order to get high quality parts, but also not to generate carbon. Avoid definitely dust from entering the machine is extremely important. Sometimes we see that a lot of companies are kind of overlooking this problem that seems to be a little detail, but it actually is not, especially when we are working with very high quality requirements. A little bit of dust entering the machine can create little tiny specks that can be definitely noticed in the final part. Now, making sure that we avoid dust from entering the machine is definitely very important. And we all know that having a good drying process of the resin, respecting the right residence time of the resin inside the dryer is extremely important in order to have high quality parts. Now, if we are, achieve fast color changes, definitely is also extremely important, at this time with the companies that they're actually making parts for the interior of the car, such as I was saying, side panel, the center or middle console, the dashboard of the car. Normally, these parts are very big, so big tonnage machines are used to make these parts. Generate a lot of waste and a lot of scrap. Is very easy in these situations because every shot could be like several pounds of material. So we need to make sure that we're using a solution that will get rid of the color very fast. Now, UltraPurge, because it works on a chemical on a chemical technology, and we will discuss that a little bit more later, is able to actually reduce the overall change color time and scrap of about 80% sometimes in certain situations. Now, this does not mean that we can always save 80% of the time or scrap. That actually really depends on the type of current they use, on the type of resin used, the type of machine, the type of hot runners. So as we're going to see that later, there are many different factors that can change the overall results of the color change. But definitely, using the UltraPurge will reduce the overall change color time. Also, use a good dosing, color dosing equipment. So it could be liquid color dosing using, so it could be a blender if we are working with master batch, but make sure that we are using a good way to dose the color inside the machine. Not only that, make sure that whatever we're using to dose the color inside the machine will be something that it will be extremely easy and fast to clean, because a little bit of color entering the machine during production could actually lead to a lot of color contamination in the parts. Also, and this is something that we always encourage our customers to do, make sure that the operator and the material handling person will work as a team. In the automotive industry, we normally don't have a lot of time to change color, so we need to do that very fast because we have machines that they're going to be changing color multiple times during the day. So we need to make sure that the person operating the machine and the person that will handle the materials will actually communicate very well, and we basically get ready the machine to the next color change very fast without having any at that time, because maybe the next material is not ready or the color is not ready. Least but not last, a good hot runner system. It is extremely, extremely important. Having a good hot runner system that will reduce that spot in the manifold and will also reduce that spot in the tip of the hot runners will be extremely important to make fast color changes. Again, whenever buying a new hot runner system, we have to keep in mind that that mold will run multiple colors and will change color many times during its life. So it is important that we actually choose the right hot runner system. Sometimes it's better to spend a little more, but making sure that when we change color, it's going to actually be very, very fast. Also, as we discussed, limit the amount of commercial purging compounds needed is extremely important. We saw that most of you are already using purging compound, so we want to make sure that we don't overuse the purging compound. Again, purging compound, it is more expensive than the resin that we're using, so we don't want to overuse it. Now, UltraPurge works on a chemical technology, and we will again explain later how it actually works. So, because it works on a chemical technology, it requires a lot less material to be used to purge a machine compared to a mechanical purging compound. It is very easy to understand since we don't have, the UltraPurge doesn't have to scrub the machine inside, or the UltraPurge to get in contact with the walls of machine in order basically to clean and dissolve the color. Also, using just resin for the companies that are not using purging compound will actually generate a lot of scrap because, as we will see later, the resin will not work with the current. We just try to push the color out. But because the way the resin moves inside the machine, that may take a very, very long time. Now, we are at the second poll here, and we would like to know basically how many of you are keeping consideration or monitoring the amount of purging compound, commercial purging compound required to purge the machine.
Yep, Graziano, it looks like we're getting some of the results in now, and it's kind of an even split between the folks who are taking that into consideration and the people who are not. We've only had about half the people voted, so if you haven't voted yet, go ahead and take just a second and do that, please. And then we'll go ahead and share the results of this poll with the audience so they can see how they stack up with the rest of the people in. All right, it looks like we've got just about everybody voted, so it's a good enough percentage where we'll go ahead and close the poll, and we're going to share the results. And so on your screen now, you should see it ended up being about 50-50 there, Graziano, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting, and actually that's very good. Making sure that we monitor the amount of purging compound used is extremely important. I know that most of you are using purging compound, but again, overuse the purging compound, it could become a source of, or actually will become a big cost, right? It would be better sometime not to use the full purging compound instead of overusing it because it will actually generate a cost instead, saving money. Now, this leads to basically our next topic, which is eliminate waste, right? We need to make sure that we eliminate all kinds of waste. Waste that may come from time or scrap. Again, as we discussed, the UltraPurge, we require a very minimal amount of purging compound in order to completely purge the injection unit or even the hot runners. While, as we discussed, resin could take, take a lot of resin in order to complete the color change. That yes, resin in many cases can be recycled, regrinded, reincorporated into the system, but definitely it is a cost to do that because it would take energy to actually regrind and the resin reprocess that. Mechanical purging compound, on the other side, will require more material compared to the UltraPurge or chemical purging compound and cannot be recycled because you cannot actually regrind the purging compound, mechanical purging compound, and make parts like you are actually able to do that with the And at the same time, in some mechanical purging compound, you cannot even sell it to scrap dealer to be basically recompounded or recycled for future applications. Now, easy process, again, extremely important. What we do, we need to make sure that we do that in a very easy way and in a very fast way. In order to do that, we need to make sure that whatever is easy. Now, using the UltraPurge during the color change is extremely easy because there are no parameters, virtually no parameters that they need to be changed. Sometimes we may ask our customer to change some of the parameters here and there, but it's actually an option in order to make the UltraPurge maybe a little bit more efficient. But normally there is no need to change the parameter of the machine, such as screw rotation speed or injection speed or anything, or back pressure or anything like that. In many cases, actually, the UltraPurge can also be molded. So you can actually mold parts while changing color. Or if that could be a problem for you because of the setup that you have in your machine, you can also use the UltraPurge to clean the hot runners with the mold open. And also at Molds Plus, we are very, very focused on training. So we normally are able to analyze whatever process you have in your company, whatever layout you have in your company, and provide a customized solution and a customized training to your molding technicians to make sure that whatever you're doing, you do that in an easy way, and that's extremely important. Basically, to summarize, during material changes, because some of you also have material changes, color changes, or machine shutdowns, definitely by using the UltraPurge, we will be able to reduce scrap and so downtime and basically increase productivity and profit. And especially in the automotive industry, we'll be more competitive in the market. We all know that margins are very, very slim, especially in our industry. Now, basically, making efficient color change will lead to a system approach. So as we discussed before, it's not just about the UltraPurge or using a purging compound, but it's about everything, about having a proper equipment in good condition, using good colorant, using good resin, and definitely also use a good purging compound. And that will lead to actually make an efficient color change, where I would also add maybe an efficient startup. Now, use the UltraPurge is proven to actually reduce the overall color change time of about 80%. And here you will see a graph that shows how we were able to reduce the color change time in a Bulgarian hot runner mold, and we were able to actually go to reduce about 80%. Now, what UltraPurge really is? UltraPurge is a chemical purging compound that could come in a ready-to-use or concentrated form. And it is designed to clean basically all kinds of thermoplastic resin from the screw barrels, so basically an injection unit, and even the hot runner system. Now, the UltraPurge basically works through a chemical reaction. What basically the UltraPurge does is the chemical ingredients in its formulation that will work with the polymer that you have in your machine. It is supported by an expanding agent that will be able to actually generate a pressure inside your barrel, so we carry these active ingredients everywhere inside the barrel, especially in that spot of the machine where normally you have most of the color hanging out. And UltraPurge will also clean at the same temperature as the resin that you're currently or that you want to purge. Basically, if this one suppose is a molecule of identical polyethylene, again, this is very schematic, and in reality, it is not, the color is not combined to the molecule of identical polyethylene in that way, but it's just easier for us to understand. Basically, the UltraPurge will react with this polymer in order to break the chemical bonds of the polymer. So basically, our identical polyethylene that originally supposed was like a 7 melt, all of a sudden will increase its melt index. So will flow inside the machine at a much faster or higher speed. Basically, suppose that this one is the way the high-density polyethylene or our plastic moves inside the melt channel, and as we know, plastic moves in a laminar flow, right? We know that the speed of the plastic close to basically the walls of our machine or the melt channel is very, very low. And this is basically why a color change in the plastic industry takes too long, because basically the speed of the plastic, it is too slow. Now, as we discussed, the way UltraPurge works, by breaking the bonds of the polymer, we are able to increase the melt index of the resin. So if we increase the melt index of the resin, that resin will move inside the melt channel at a much faster speed. And basically, we move from that condition to a condition more similar to this one, where basically we will be able to flush out the color much, much faster. Basically, using the UltraPurge will lead more or less of about 50 to 80% reduction in scrap and 60 to 85% reduction in downtime. Those are the numbers that you normally have to look at. Now, as you see, those numbers are very far apart. And the reason why is because the condition of the machine is extremely important, as well as the design of the mold, as well as the type of colorant to use. Using the UltraPurge will also improve the quality of the production of the part that we're making, because no color streaking will be present in the part after the machine is being purged with the purging compound. We will also avoid the formation of black specks, as we discussed, because in the UltraPurge we have an antioxidant ingredient that will prevent the oxidation of the polymer. That's why we will be able to actually make faster start times. Eliminate slip screw problem. Sometimes we may see that for, especially in companies, they overdose the colorant inside the machine, and they have like big buildup of color in the back of the fly of the screw, especially in the feeding zone of the machine. The active ingredients of the UltraPurge melt at a very low temperature, and that's why the UltraPurge is efficient inside the machine from the feeding zone of the screw all the way through the nozzle, basically. We don't have to wait for the polymer to melt in order for the UltraPurge to be active and clean the colorant. And again, preserve the steel oxidation. Again, the antioxidant that we have in the machine will definitely prevent any kind of steel oxidation, especially for companies that are running some PVC parts. Sometimes I actually use to cover, for example, armrests or this kind of parts. So definitely, we strongly recommend to use the UltraPurge in any kind of a PVC application. Now, there is a cost analysis, a sample of the cost analysis that I would like to discuss, where basically we compare the UltraPurge to a mechanical purging compound. We all know that definitely we using the UltraPurge or a mechanical purging compound will save you money compared to just using resin, but we want to compare actually the UltraPurge to a mechanical purging compound to see how if more efficient the UltraPurge could be. Now, basically on the first line, we have the amount of resin used to purge a machine. Now, this amount of resin keeps in consideration the resin used before and after the purging compound. Because yes, that we purge with the purging compound, but we also have to remove the purging compound from the machine. And the UltraPurge, because of its formulation, does not stick to the walls of the machine, so it's very, very easy to be removed. Now, with the mechanical purging compound, in this particular machine, it was a 3,000-ton machine, and the color change was from a black to a gray polypropylene. They use about 45 pounds of a mechanical purging compound, while with the of resin, while with the UltraPurge we use about 21 pounds of purging compound. Because again, with the UltraPurge we need to use only one barrel full, and more or less in a 3,000-ton machine, one barrel full of purging compound is about 21 pounds. Now, the cost of resin is about 85 cents per pound. Unfortunately, the number is changing very fast right now, and the more the cost of the resin is going to go up, the more sense it makes to actually use purging compounds in general. And regarding the quantity of purging compound use, is we use about 54 pounds with the mechanical purging compound compared to 19 pounds with the UltraPurge. Again, as you see, the cost of the purging compound are very different. And normally, mechanical purging compound costs a lot less compared to chemical purging compound. But again, it is not the cost per pound is important, but it's the cost per purge. It does not really mean how much it's not really important how much the purging compound costs per pound. What is important is how much you need to use of it in order to complete your color change. And as you can see, the basically total material, purging material cost, it goes down from $162 to down to $89. So basically, we had a reduction of purging material of about 45%. Now, talking about time, because we need to run a lot more resin and purging compound to the machine, it took about 35 minutes with the mechanical purging compound, while it took only 14 minutes with the UltraPurge. And keep in mind that in this particular trial, the UltraPurge was used to mold parts. So basically, we did not even stop the machine in order to purge it out. So basically, we were molding the parts with the UltraPurge. So we changed color on the fly, as we say. Now, the downtime cost per hour of the machine is about $95. And so if we do the math, basically, we reduce it from $55 to about $22. So we have a reduction of actually downtime cost of about 60%. So in this particular trial, we can definitely see that the UltraPurge showed great improvement compared to a mechanical purging compound. Now, I would like to actually have the last poll and ask you how many of you are actually keeping track of the amount of resin and downtime used during color change or every time you purge the machine.
Well, it looks like, Graziano, it looks like we got about half of the folks have voted, and fewer people keep track of this data than those who do so far. We can go ahead and share that.
Oh,
yeah, just a couple more seconds as the votes are still coming in, and then I'll share that, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that and what you see out there when you're visiting customers. All right, I'll go ahead and share that poll out now, and people can take a look. It's actually kind of a two-thirds.
Two-thirds, yeah, 35% of the company monitoring that. And again, we are starting to see that more and more with customers. Definitely, and unfortunately, many customers are still not keeping track, especially of time. Scrap is always something that is kind of easy to keep track of because the scrap is something that is visible, it sits on the floor, and we all know they exist. But sometimes, definitely the time is a lot more difficult to keep track of. Now, we also know that a lot of companies working in the automotive industry are starting to use a new software that will allow them to keep a better track of the machine time. And that's actually very surprising when we find, when we work with this company to see how much time is actually wasted during color change in the end of the year, and those numbers are very, very, very big. Now, basically, if we consider the machine, the overall machine, we see that now the picture of this machine is actually represents a machine with a stack tool, but we know that we need to making sure that we have a very good resin conveying equipment and dosing units for the color in order to make sure that no color is entering the machine and creating problems during color changes, or it is also fast to actually change color. Making sure that the condition on our barrel and screw are good. Again, overuse or old injection unit may create a lot of problems and may basically delay our color changes. And definitely having a very good hot harness system, it is extremely important. What we see is that many times purging the barrel is not that difficult. Purging the injection unit is actually pretty easy. But where we waste a lot of time is actually in cleaning the hot harness. And many times because these hot harnesses were not properly designed or were not, the actual manifold was not properly engineered. Now, another part is kind of overlooked many times is the mismatch in between the screw bushing and the nozzle. So we want to make sure that we always use the proper nozzle for the mold that we're using. So making sure that we do not create any sort of dead spot in between the nozzle and the screw bushing that they may actually have the color to bleed into the parts for a very long time. So basically, we want to go from an optimized solution, which is the one shown near the picture, where we don't have any sort of dead spot. Definitely, there is actually a lot of time that we should spend about hot runners and how to do that, but I would like just to get your attention in a couple of few points. Definitely, we want to make sure that the manifold is properly designed, the manifold bushing is properly engineered, making sure that if we have hot runners, actually manifolds with the plugs, with the classic plugs, the cap basically the melt channels, making sure that those are properly installed properly, that basically they don't create dead spots, so properly engineered, I would say. We all know that most of us are using actually valve-gated tools. The design of the valve gate is extremely important. Many of you are also using sequential valve gate. That sometimes they may be a little bit tricky to clean, but again, may take a little longer, but it's possible to actually do that, especially when the UltraPurge, because we can actually mold the part with the purging compound, so we can use the same sequence that you have while molding parts. And definitely, if you have basically a hot tip, making sure that what we call the bubble created in between the tip and the cavity plate is as small as possible, so we don't generate a lot of bleeding of the color into the parts. Now, sizing the melt channel, as we discussed, is extremely important. The speed on the melt channel is very important. We don't want to have the plastic moving to melt in the melt channel too fast or too slow. So definitely consult with your hot harness manufacturer, making sure that the manifold that you're selecting for a new mold is actually the best one that you can select. Also, making sure that we have a thermal uniformity of the melt channels. I know that we all read the temperature in our temperature hot harness temperature controller, and we know that the temperature of hot harness is, for example, 450 degrees, but it doesn't mean that it is 450 degrees all over the manifold. So, and this is also why having a good hot harness manufacturer to recommend the proper manifold, or to engineer and design the proper manifold, is extremely important. As you can see from this picture, the area that are actually hotter, they have less deposit of color compared to the area that are actually colder. Now, for example, if we size the melt channel or some resin starting from a metal channel in a cold area, we see that we have much more deposit, almost like a film all around it, of resin that is not actually moving, while in areas that are actually hotter, the color will move faster, so basically we're able to remove the color in a much shorter time. Same, basically, what we were discussing is that by making sure that we are optimizing the temperature profile, we're going to basically make sure that the temperature will be the same all across the manifold, so we'll eliminate basically that problem. And this is actually an ideal situation where we have basically a temperature more constant throughout the manifold. Now here you will see some picture of the UltraPurge, the way it looks like. As you see, the UltraPurge is very foamy. That's some material that we collected coming out from the nozzle. Again, the foaminess of the material is what we guarantee, what it guarantees that the active part of the UltraPurge will get, the dead spots of the machine. Here is one more part of actually this is 100% molded UltraPurge. This is side door of a car, and as you see, the UltraPurge we were able to actually mold the UltraPurge without changing any parameters of the machine. And we do this a lot with many customers in the automotive industry, where we are able to change power on the fly. Basically, we're just we keep running the machine without even stopping it, and we load the UltraPurge right behind the resin, and just the cycle time of the machine is sufficient to guarantee the complete reaction of the purging compound in the injection unit and in the hot runners. Now, basically, we have offices here in the United States, office and production here in the United States, as well as in Europe or in Mexico, Latin America, and even Asia. And our technical staff is available always for a consultation in order to see how we can help you during these color changes. I would like to maybe now do a little bit of questions and answers. I'm sure that actually looks like that there are a lot of answers coming in. So I will see what I can answer. We will not be able to answer to all questions, obviously, because it looks like there are a lot. But I will answer at least to the ones that they are more. Okay, one question is, are there fumes or odor with the UltraPurge? Again, this is a very typical question that we get a lot. Unfortunately, people, when they think about chemical, they associate chemical equal bad. Unfortunately, it's not. I mean, fortunately, it's not true. There are a lot of chemicals that we use every day that are actually not harmful. The UltraPurge, it is actually food content certified. We carry food content certification according to the FDA and European regulations. All the ingredients using the UltraPurge are what are called generally recognized as safe, according to FDA, as substances adding directly to human food. So it's probably something totally safe to be used. Definitely, the expansion of the purging compound of the UltraPurge will generate a little bit of steam, but it's not, again, a fume, and there is no odor. Actually, the odor is the same odor as the resin that you're processing, so it's a polyethylene, so absolutely no odor on that side. Another question that I've seen here is if UltraPurge can be used in blow molding machines. Yes, we have basically we have many different grades of the UltraPurge, and as I was saying, can be used for all kinds of thermoplastic resin and all kinds of machines. So injection molding machines, blow molding machines, extruders, even blow film machines. So it can be used also for the application. Can UltraPurge be used for PVC? We actually strongly recommend to use the UltraPurge for PVC applications. The UltraPurge has actually an alkaline pH that will be able to neutralize any kind of hydrochloric acid formation coming from degradation of the PVC. So it is strongly recommended to use the UltraPurge to neutralize the PVC that was in the barrel. Every time we do a shutdown, or every time we need to let the barrel with PVC sitting in there for an extended period of time. And another question that I see if there is a specific grade designed for PVC, sorry, for polycarbonate lenses application. Definitely, we cannot use the same grade that we use to clean a polypropylene polyethylene to clean a polycarbonate, and we have a specific grade. Actually, we have two grades designed for polycarbonate application. We also supply this grade to company making optical discs, such as DVDs or CDs. This grade is called the UltraPurge High E grade and the UltraPurge 5060, which is a very new grade that we just introduced a few months ago. And they are a very low residue purging compound. So basically, once you purge a machine with UltraPurge and you remove the polycarbonate, you will hardly see any remnants of UltraPurge staying inside the machine right after you purge it. So definitely, this is what we recommend for this kind of application. One more question that I get in here is that if the UltraPurge will remove color and carbon at the same time. This is actually a very good question. The technology the UltraPurge use to clean the color or the carbon are actually different. We show you during the presentation how the UltraPurge is able to increase the melt index of the resin and so remove the resin and the color that is mixed with it. But when it comes to carbon, things are a little bit different. Carbon is not something that is reactive. It's not something that you can actually basically chemically dissolve. What we are able to do is we're able to soften with our ingredients, chemical ingredients, the carbon a little bit, but what we call the amorphous carbon. The amorphous carbon is normally much softer than the crystalline carbon, which is much harder. It is normally formed, the crystalline carbon is normally formed in the compression zone of the screw. And normally we are not able to clean the crystalline carbon, but not any other material is able to clean crystalline carbon. It's too hard to be actually cleaned. Normally only a mechanical cleaning is what can solve that. But definitely the UltraPurge is sufficient to removing the what we call the amorphous carbon. Again, it's normally formed in the feeding zone of the screw or in the hot runner system or in the manifold. I see here another question if the UltraPurge can be used for shutdown and startup. Definitely, we strongly recommend that, especially for clear application. We normally don't see a need to use the purging compound or the UltraPurge for shutdown and startup when we are working with the polypropylene, polyethylene, or TPO in general. There is no real need for the purging compound. Again, let's not forget that the purging compound is meant to save money. So we don't have to overuse it or use it in application where we don't really need it. So to answer to this question, yes, definitely we recommend to use it especially with the polycarbonate or acrylic resin. One more question, and actually it's interesting, if the UltraPurge can be used for a peak application. I know that all these very high temperature engineering resin are becoming more and more popular in the automotive industry, and a lot of under the hood parts are made with these high temperature engineering resin. And yes, we do have a grade called UltraPurge HE grade. They are designed to work with very high temperature resin, and this is basically what we recommend for this kind of application. So peak, full temp, polysulfone, or all kinds of very high temp resin. And we have actually a lot more questions in here to come, but I think we kind of running out of time in here. But I would like to thank everybody for participating to this webinar, for taking the time to participate to this webinar, and I would like to encourage everybody to get in contact with us or with our sales team. I know that people from all over the world is actually connected to this webinar, so and we have representatives that can help you analyze the problems that you have and offer the best solution in order to reduce your overall cost. So again, thank you very much for participating.
And thank you, Graziano, for such a valuable presentation. And most importantly, as Graziano mentioned, thanks for everyone for attending today's webinar. An important note is that we are continuing to host more and more webinars, so please visit ides.com/webinars to view and register for upcoming events. Thank you again, and keep molding.